Do you think Congress deserves a raise? Some legislators like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez think so. She just got to Congress and already she wants a raise? A CNN contributor says there's one particular question you shouldn't ask the Democrats who are running for president. Plus, Michelle Obama is set to participate in a dodgeball challenge despite research that says dodgeball is dehumanizing and oppressive. All that and more. I'm Bobby Everly. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, Congress and raises. We're going to get to that. But first, our friends over at Bottle Breacher have a special offer just in time for Father's Day. Don't just tell the dads in your life that you like them. Show them with an awesome gift from Bottle Breacher. Just go to bottlebreacher.com, enter coupon code Bobby13-A1 for 20% off your next purchase, and show your dad that you really do care. That's bottlebreacher.com, coupon code Bobby13-A1. All right, friends. We're going to talk about Congress because it was in the news yesterday and there were some really interesting statements that were made. Congress wants a pay raise, and some people are talking about it a little louder than others. Members of Congress, starting House of Representatives members, make $174,000 a year. $174,000. But for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, apparently that's not enough. Check out what she said yesterday.
We should be fighting for pay increases for every American worker. We should be fighting for a $15 minimum wage pegged to inflation so that everybody in the United States with a salary, with a wage, gets a cost of living increase. Members of Congress, retail workers, everybody should get cost of living increases to accommodate for the changes in our economy.
We should be fighting for pay increases for every American worker. Every worker deserves a cost of living adjustment. Oh my gosh, does she know what a legislator does? COLAs, or cost of living adjustments, are for government programs like Social Security. Say you get a Social Security check and then the next year it goes up a little bit to account for inflation or cost of living. It's a cost of living adjustment. It has nothing to do with private businesses. The U.S. government doesn't go around telling business, hey, every worker you have, give them a raise next year. That's not how the government works. It's just amazing what she said. I don't even get it. But here's more from her.
In my opinion, voting against it's not even like a raise. It's a cost of living adjustment. So you can vote against a cost of living adjustment all you want, and it'll look good on its surface, but it will every cost of living adjustment that gets bypassed is voting to increase the pressure to exploit loopholes and legal loopholes to kind of lean on other ways to enrich oneself.
This is just so awesome. Okay, she's not voting for a raise. It's not really a raise. It's a cost of a living adjustment because, $174,000 just doesn't cut it anymore. And her other reason for giving Congress a raise just blows me away. It's like she says they need more money, so they're not tempted to go for things that earn them even more money, like insider trading deals or lobbying or some other weird stuff. So her idea is it's bad for them to enrich themselves that way, but if they're enriching themselves through us taxpayers giving them more money, that's all right. That's her logic, and it's just insane. But she's not the only one talking. Here's a report from the Washington Examiner. Congress should consider giving lawmakers a pay raise, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Republican from California, said Tuesday. House Democrats this week pulled a bill that would have boosted lawmaker and staff salaries after backlash from vulnerable Republicans and Democratic members. When you talk this subject about COLA, a cost of living increase, it does invoke an emotion, kind of an impulsive emotion, McCarthy said, referring to potential pay raises Congress has refused since 2009. I think it's one that we should pause and look at. It's been more than 10 years in the process. The current study says that pay has decreased by 15%. I do not want Congress at the end of the day to be only a place that millionaires serve. This should be a body of the people. Oh, brother. All right, friends, please leave a comment to this. I want to know. I want you to tell me, do you think Congress deserves a raise? And before we move on to our next segment, I just want to leave you with this little tidbit. Yesterday, I checked on Rasmussen reports. President Trump's approval rating is hanging at 49%. All right, check this out from CNN. A new Gallup poll shows that just 20% of Americans approve of the job Congress is doing. The vast majority, 75%, disapprove of the job Congress is doing. The poll is in line with other polls showing most Americans are displeased with our federal legislative branch. All right, so, okay, with that in mind, 20% favor what Congress is doing, 49% favor what Trump is doing, and Congress wants a raise. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been there 5 months, and her $174,000 salary isn't enough for her. You guys, please explain that to me in the comments. All right, next I want to go over an interesting comment that a CNN contributor made to Bill Maher the other day, which is just very interesting. If you remember last week, Kirsten Gillibrand, we covered this. She was doing a town hall for Fox, and she was asked about gun control and how if her plan would have done anything to prevent the killings in Virginia. Here's what she said. Here's the question.
What would you do differently to reduce the gun violence and the deaths in America, where all the previous presidents, they tried but failed? More specifically, would your plans have prevented the senseless massacre that happened in Virginia Beach last Friday?
All right, so that's a pretty good question, and here is her response or lack of response.
First, I will make sure we have universal background checks. Second, I will make sure we ban the bump stocks, the large magazines, the assault rifles, the military-style weapons.
So, of course, she didn't answer the question, but Fox News host Chris Wallace didn't let it go. He called her on it, and here's what he said.
I heard the 3 points you specifically made. Having said that, none of them would have prevented what happened in Virginia Beach. This gentleman, he didn't buy an assault weapon. He had 2 handguns. He bought them legally. So how do you prevent? I understand that all of your plans aren't going to stop all of them, but is there anything you could have done that would have stopped this terrible incident?
All right, her response to that was to go after the NRA. That was her answer. But I want to go back to the original question, and that is her gun control legislation. What would it have done to prevent the Virginia massacre or any of these mass shootings? What would her plan have done? And the reason I bring this up is because you have a New York Times columnist and CNN contributor, Charles Blow. He was on Bill Maher's program the other day, and they were talking about this very issue. And here's what Bill Maher said.
Cory Booker was on with Jake Tapper, and Jake Tapper asked him a couple of times, what in your plan would have stopped the massacre that we had last week at Virginia Beach? And Cory Booker took a very long time to not be able to answer that question.
All right, so Kirsten Gillibrand couldn't answer the question, and Cory Booker couldn't answer the question. All right, here's more. Here's what Charles Blow had to say about it.
Journalists have to stop asking that horrible question. That is a horrible question, because what we're doing is picking out one incident out of 30,000 deaths per year and saying, how could you solve this one thing? That is not the objective of gun control.
All right, that response that blows me away, because he says it's not fair to ask about a single incident, and yet that is when these Democrats, these presidential candidates or the media or anyone else on the left, that's when they rise to the occasion. The day and day, things go by. People are getting shot in Chicago all the time, and they say nothing about it, but the mass shooting comes up, and that's when they speak out. That's when they say they need gun control. That's when these Democrat candidates say, I have a plan. We need a plan. We need to do something about these mass shootings. Now he says you can't ask him about that. You can't ask him because it's not fair about this one particular incident when there's so much going on. And my thought is on that, if they are serious about gun control, then they wouldn't pick one incident. They're doing this for the highlights, for the sound bites, because every single day, like I said, in cities like Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, Oakland, you have kids killing kids over and over and over again by the thousands, and the left says nothing about it, because in order to address that problem, you have to address the cultural issues in the inner cities, the cultural issues, the violence, and do something about that. But they will never do it. They wait for some mass shooting where they're hoping, some white guy pops up, shoots some people so they can do a new legislation to take guns away from people, for the most part, that aren't going to use them for mass shootings. Address the real problems here. Address the inner city, the cultural issues. Someone please on the left be brave enough to talk about the real issues that are plaguing society and not these sound bites. But the Democrats, because they only speak out when there's mass shootings, they deserve that question. We need to know if their plan can do anything, and so far, none of them can answer it. All right, folks, I want to move on to Dodgeball because we've all played it in PE. Some have liked it, some haven't, but there's a new study out from researchers in Canada that have some really interesting stuff about Dodgeball and just how bad it is. Check this out. One of gym class's most common games is being used as a tool of oppression, according to a team of Canadian researchers. Dodgeball in phys ed classes teaches students to dehumanize and harm their peers, professors from 3 Canadian universities said in a presentation this week at the Congress of Humanities and Social Sciences in Vancouver. A paper on the subject is set to appear in the Journal of European Physical Education Review. Dehumanize and harm? I mean, here's more from that. When you're setting up an environment for students to learn and you introduce the idea that it's okay to slam a ball at whomever you like, even when it's a softball, the intention is there. Joy Butler, a professor who studies pedagogy and curriculum development at the University of British Columbia, said in a phone interview, physical education class should be an arena where teachers are helping students control their aggression and move on instead of expressing themselves through anger. So controlled aggression, I guess that's the toxic masculinity that they all talk about. So they're saying that Dodgeball is bad, but take a look at this. Take a look at this right here. This is from a upcoming Dodgeball challenge, all right? You have a team of American celebrities, and there's Michelle Obama looking all, gangsta, ready to go. They're going to be taking on the CBS Late Late Show host James Corden and a group from the UK, and here's a group picture of all of them, and they are going to duke it out. They are going to play Dodgeball. She's helping promote it, and yet Dodgeball, like tag, is being phased out of schools. This so-called research says it's oppressive and dehumanizing, and the research is just bogus. There's just so much when you read about it that you wonder if these people actually know how to do a research project, because the things they attribute to Dodgeball, bad tendencies, aggression, and everything like that, is stuff you find in school regardless of Dodgeball. There are going to be kids that are more aggressive. There are going to be kids that assume leadership positions, which these researchers imply is a bad thing because Dodgeball teaches them to take charge and just manhandle the weaker ones. Well, that's life. It doesn't have to be Dodgeball where some will speak out and some will sit in the shadows. That's just life. That's just competition. But Dodgeball is evil, it's oppressive, it's dehumanizing, and Michelle Obama is all about it. Folks, that's our show for today. Please hit the subscribe button, and when you do, hit that bell. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you on Friday. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, just a little reminder before you go, and no, this does not count against my 13 minutes. Please hit the subscribe button below and tell your friends. And if you happen to miss our last show, you can check it out right here. And also for great conservative news and commentary, please check out GOPUSA.com. All right, folks, we'll see you on the next show. Have a great day.